Welcome to the Words to Empower podcast, featuring Bishop Frank Stewart, pastor of the Acts Ministry in Conway and North Little Rock. And now, Pastor Stewart.
We're going to talk about this tonight. It says, Then Jesus entered and passed through Jericho. Now behold, there was a man named Zacchaeus, who was a chief tax collector, and he was rich. And he sought to see who Jesus was. And that's what I want us to do, seek to see Jesus. But could not because of the crowd, for he was short of stature. So he ran ahead, climbed up into a sycamore tree to see him, for he was going to pass that way. And when Jesus came to the place, he looked up and saw him and said to him, Zacchaeus, make haste and come down, for today I must stay at your house. So he made haste, came down, and received him joyfully. So we're talking about positioning ourselves for a better year in 2020. Positioning. So positioning yourself in a better place. Zacchaeus put himself in a place where he could see to make sure some things he wouldn't miss. We're talking this year, 2020 vision. So we're talking about putting ourselves in a place where we can see better. So I want to kind of engage in this for a few minutes and move forward. And at the end, I want to just give us some things that we can do starting this year off to make sure this year will be a good year, a great year. Just a few things. Matter of fact, one main thing that we can do to make sure, to ensure right off the bat that this year will be a very successful year. This year, just right now. It is in our power to do some things, just do. And I don't like a long list of stuff because normally we don't get it done. But some things that we can do just to make sure that this is a successful year. So what Zacchaeus did, and we're looking at him run ahead, get in position so he could see to make sure that this year would be a better year. So with that in mind, we're going to talk about this first month. And it's one thing that we want to do in 2020 is slow the year down. Slow time down. You said, Pastor, you can't slow time down. Well, you can savor every moment, and it seems like it's a long, long time. It might not be, but it can show it pure that it's a long, long time. So some things we can do. You notice that when we're fasting, there are some things that can happen. When you fast and don't seem like that clock is going by fast. All right? You can watch it all you want to. Don't seem like it's moving fast. So it's some things that we can do to really savor every moment of that. So we're gonna ask the panel to come, and we got a few questions we're going to talk about. Then we get audience participation. Then I'm just going to give you a few things that I think that if we just incorporate, a few things that if we just do, would change our year. But the first thing we want to do, we want to talk about this month of January. We want to talk about this month. So it's just a few questions that we're going to engage in about January. And I think when we don't do that, when we don't talk about things and months and times, then what happens is that we lose it. We don't capitalize on it. So January is coming to an end. It's coming to an end. And we want to talk about it. And the first thing we want to do, and since Minister Fletcher's on somebody here, so we're going to let him. The first question, I'm going to throw it out there, and while he's talking, you can be thinking about it. And that is to evaluate this first month of the year of 2020. January 2020. Evaluate that. And if you would, put a grade on it. But we're going to have Minister Fletcher. I think it was like 4 people on this panel, but only one is here. So we're moving 2020, we're moving ahead. Yes, sir. So let's look at that. Evaluate the first month of the year and maybe put a grade on it.
I guess I'll start off by putting a grade. I'll start off and say B minus. And looking at the evaluation, one thing I said I was not going to do was come in this year with a whole bunch of resolutions. A lot of things that I was going to put on my plate to try to do. The end of last year was very hard. So I wanted to make sure I took time to ease into the year. And I only had 3 things that I wanted to do. And that was get order in these 3 things. That was putting God first, putting my family second, and putting church third. That has been out of order in my life for a while. And one thing I wanted to do was slow everything down for a minute. First of all, just to recover from last year. And then reflect on the last 10 years of my life. Since we're entering into a new decade. So I just kind of took time just to reflect. And so when I look at it, I can truly say it's been a good first part of the year. Some things that came in with work that kind of threw my schedule a little bit off. But for the most part, slowing everything down. And one thing that, taking off the scripture that Pastor dealt with Zacchaeus, one thing I noticed with me, my hands were in so much. And when your hands are in so much, or you're doing so much, you don't get a chance to really see yourself. And so I had to step back, and that's a fight to pull back off of some stuff so I can really start to see from a different perspective, from a different, because if you're in it so much, you don't even know if you're doing a good job or doing a bad job. You're so tied up in it. So I had to pull back, and that's been very hard, just pulling back, not just, at work, at church, and in a lot of places. I just had to pull back for a minute so I can just see and really evaluate. And before I can evaluate the year, I got to evaluate myself. And the only way I can see myself, sometimes you got to position yourself in a different place so you can start to see. So right. I said B minus.
So, come on, Sister. Sister Whip, if you come in, you're going to join us. But so the panel, we're talking about just evaluating the first month of 2020. Because if you wait to the last part of the year or the last month of the year, then you're already under the gun. But if we take time to evaluate every month, January is almost gone, and we're gonna do some audience participation. But it's a few things that we can do. I want you to really hear me. There are some things that we can do to guarantee that this year be different. I'm not talking about no 20 things. I'm not talking about 10 things. I'm not even talking about 5 things. There are some things that we can commit to. And we got a few questions we're going to deal with, just 3 questions right now. But what we're talking about, First Lady, you want that first question, evaluate the first month of the year, 2020. The first question we had to just look at it, to reflect on it. And I even said maybe give a grade on that first part.
A personal grade or church grade?
Personal grade.
Just evaluating the first month. I think after watch meeting night, all of us are excited. And it's like the beginning of something new. We start off running. Usually we do good the first month. We make resolutions. We make promises. We make some changes. And we come out the gate running. We come out the gate. This sounds kind of fuzzy to me, is it? We come out the gate running. Thank you. We come out the gate, and it's like we're gonna do better. We're on fire. We make a few more services than we normally did prior, and I think we did the same thing this year, even with a different consecration. I think this consecration, having done it in the evening time till the next morning. For some of us, it may not even seem like a consecration. But for those who did it, it was more of being intentional. That meant if I didn't stop the consecration at this certain time, it means I'm automatically fasting till the next day. If I didn't arrange my schedule where I could stop. And for many days, I was so busy that I didn't make my cutoff time. So that meant I didn't eat before the cutoff time is what I'm saying. So that means the next day I went longer than supposed to, than what we were supposed to have gone. And so for those of us who fell in that slot, it was more of a sacrifice, because the sacrifice was extended. And so I think coming in January of 2020, for me, I think I've done more reading, trying to keep up with anybody who's in the Reading Through the Bible class. You see, we have 3 times, if not more, scriptures that we have to look up than we had with the previous book. Beside that, with our Christian education, what we believe, if you're doing the lessons, if you're looking up the scriptures, if you're studying, you're finding out, okay, I have a lot more to look up if I'm going to do an efficient job. So for me, I think the more of the burning of the midnight oil for me is it's more spiritual things. It's more godly things. It's more. So for January, like I said, we came out the gate running. We hit the floor running. And so being intentional about what I have to do causes me to tell others and other things I have to say no to.
Okay. So if I put a grade on every month, and I'm going to get some participation, maybe just 2 or 3 people in the audience, that same question, when you evaluate the month of January, we're almost done with it. We're almost done with January. If you look at it and evaluate it, what would you say concerning that? You've heard the panel talk, but what would you say? Just maybe 2 or 3 people. What kind of grade would you give it? Because see, what this is going to do is force us to look at every month. No, Potter got the mic already. Oh, so this is going to force us to look at every month, if not every day. Have you ever been in a class and you made a less desirable grade? What did you do the next semester?
Put the pedal to the metal.
Study harder. So if January is not where I want it to be, and if I didn't do what I really wanted, if it wasn't the kind of month that I wanted, so now I know what I got to do. I'm not gonna wait till December or November. I'm gonna evaluate every month, and I would like to be this something that we do every month. Any participation, 2 or 3 people, just with. Amen. So we want to evaluate it because that's gonna keep us in a different mode.
Praise the Lord, everyone. I would give myself a good B for the activities pertaining to studying my Bible and doing the things that I should do pertaining to trying to get to where I want to go in this year, 2020. Therefore, I have slowed down tremendously, and I'm very, very thankful that God has given me a mind to slow it down. So for a couple of days per week, I don't leave my house. I'm there, and I'm usually in my bedroom trying to get my Bible and my little computer and everything going where I'm in God's Word. That part about me is really absolutely wonderful, and I'm giving God the praise, the glory, and the honor for it, because I have been running so hard that I have not done everything that I should have done. Thank you.
See, if we start off good this month, it's almost over. But if we don't, then I can look at it. I don't just go blindly through the year. I can look at January. Okay, it's almost over. What kind of month was it? So one more person. How would you grade yourself when you look at it? One more. Amen. Then we're going to move to the second question. for the panel.
And I've got to be real honest and give myself a C, because if I look at myself as mind, body, and spirit, I know that I'm taking care of the mind and the spirit by my daily devotion, which I'm sharing with my sister circle of faith. I've got about 5 or 6 sisters that I'll send scriptures out, and we're doing YouVersion and doing certain spiritual plans together. So I know I'm doing well there. And then you're right. This new book, this new study, The Great Truth of the Bible, ooh, that takes some time to get all of that together. But I'm not taking care of my body. I'm not taking care of the temple the way I'm supposed to. I'm not getting my 6 to 8 hours of sleep a night. I'm not drinking my 64 ounces or more of water like I'm supposed to. And I know if I don't take better care of this temple, then I can't take care of house, church, family. So I need to do better of taking care of the temple.
Man, we're going to talk about that a little later. That's great. So that was the, just evaluate it. Now, most people, we have problem evaluating it. It's kind of like going to the doctor, getting a test. You look at January, it's almost over. What kind of month was it? What kind of month was it for you personally? What kind of month was it? Because if we don't look at it like that, then we'll get behind, and then we'll find ourselves in December. So you can't make a C or a D in the first month of the year, and second month, and then the first quarter, and then you want to end up with an A for the year, or wonder what happened. We gotta look at it every month. What kind of month was it? Now, the second question the panel is going to talk about is how did this January compare to previous Januaries? How did this January compare to the previous January or the last few January? How does this compare? Just when you look at it, what you're doing, where you are compared to the other January. And that's for the panel to start off with.
Stay tuned for more of Frank Stewart. And now for some special announcements.
Thanks for partnering with the Acts Ministries. We value your service and your donations. That's why we've made it easy to make contributions to support our ministry. Simply go to your web browser and click the search bar and type in actsministriesonline.org. Then click Donate Online. It's really that easy. For mobile giving, text the amount you wish to donate to 501-302-4242. That's Simple Give.
And now, more of Pastor Frank Stewart.
As I previously said, usually we start off really good in January, trying to start afresh, start anew. It's a new year, so we try to start over for the things that we know that we did not accomplish or complete or finish from the previous year. So in every January rolls around, we think, okay, I'm starting over. I have an opportunity to start over. And so with that in mind, we have started over for this January for a new year. But coming into this new year, I think compared to previous years, says Ivy, I think I've done better with the health part. And so in certain areas, we are trying to do better for the total man. I don't know about y'all, but I done lost me a few pounds. And I plan on losing some more. And so I plan on taking care of myself more. And like that, those 8 hours of sleep, I try to intentionally turn this thing off and put it away from me, because this can help us, but it can also hurt us. And so I try to make sure that I'm not doing no bunch of this. And I'm not even talking about social media. I'm talking about some calls I'm not answering. Some texts I don't have to answer right now. And I tell people Monday is my off day. I don't get very many off days. So if I don't return your text on Monday, I love you. But you're not going to hear from me on Monday. It's not emergency. Now, that's different. If it's emergency and you at the hospital, whatever, that's different. But something that I can take care of on Tuesday, I'm not answering on Monday. So
Okay.
I intentionally, I am taking control over some of the things that I usually try to help people with and please people with by saying, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that.
All right.
Amen, amen. I guess, again, I'm going to say again, this year has been totally different than probably any of my spiritual years starting off. Because most time I set goals to try to accomplish before the end of the month or whatever. This year, I didn't really set that many goals again. I came this year totally different. And I say totally different than any year I can ever remember. Because I came this year want to reflect. Because I want to really take an evaluation of myself. And a lot of times you don't get a chance to take an evaluation because you're too busy trying to set goals. And if you're setting goals and you don't know where you are, then you're just setting goals. So I really wanted to see, where am I? And once again, I got hit with some stuff going out of this last year where the devil tried to take my mind. And I'm going to say that because we got to realize the battle we fight is not against people. It's against the mind. And when you fighting here and it's so many different things come at you. You know, one thing I can truly say, me and my wife been married 23, 24 years. I'm in trouble. I'm going to say I'm going to err on the side of more. So it's going on 24. But we have never had an argument over money. So money has never been an issue. Not that we always had money. We've been broke to the point where I almost died eating our last bit of food, and that was crackers and peanut butter. We have never had arguments over certain things, but coming out of last year, we had to deal with some stuff. Some stuff we had control over, some stuff we didn't. So going into this year, I really wanted to see what God was doing so I can see where I needed to go. So once again, I can't remember the exact message, but pastor was preaching and he said something about we got to take time to look back over that last 10 years. And before I knew it, that's where I found myself. And I came into this year still thinking about the last 10 years. First, I was thinking about the last 10 months. But those 10 months went to a year, and I started to really see where I have grown, where I have failed. Started to really take a good evaluation of myself. So once again, going into this year has been totally different than any year I've ever experienced in my 20-some-odd years here at Acts Ministries.
So and the reason for comparing this January and just that 1 month, just the 1 month, and it's important to look at January 2020, January 2019, January 2018, because if you do the comparison, then if you're not getting the kind of results you want at the end of the year, then it says, okay, and they kind of answered the question number 3, what am I going to do different? All right. What am I going to do different? So we want to let the audience, a couple of people chime in on that. The last 3 Januaries. And see, this makes you study. This makes you think about it. This makes you reflect. What was it like last January? What was it like the January before then? Because if not, we're just flying by the seat of our pants. We have no structure. We have no order. We have nothing if we don't have anything to compare with. But when I said, man, my January last year was this, and we got a hand over there. My last January was like this. So what I have to do is start doing some stuff to make a difference. But I got to know what it was like in order for me to make it better.
This January for me has been totally different because my desire is there. And the previous years, I tried to do my daily reading and read through the Bible, and I've never completed it. And this January, I've been on it. I've been able to actually read the stories in the Bible and get something out of it instead of just going through the motion and trying to keep up with the days and not having the desire to do it. So I'm actually feeling proud of myself.
That's good.
In that I've gotten through this whole month reading and taking my Bible to work and just pulling it out and just yearning for it. And I actually, for the first time in a long time, feel like God is actually pleased with me. So I haven't been fasting, but I've been reading. So I looked at it as taking baby steps.
Okay. So the thing that she says she's been proud. She's proud of herself. Now that's really important because, okay, so she said last January. See, you have to be able to compare that. If you're going to do better, you got to take an inventory of yourself. What has January been like for the last few years of my life? So now she's saying, I'm ahead. See, what's going to force her to be ahead is that by February, you're going to be read the whole New Testament. If you can't finish the Bible this year, see, you see what I'm saying? It's always good to get a good start. So we're going to start off in the first 2 months. We're going to be through, with the whole New Testament. If we just stay focused. And if you don't get through the whole New Testament, half of it, you're still way ahead. But being able to do, sometimes we're so emotional people, we don't take time to be strategic. And I love what she said. She said, I'm proud of myself. Bishop Jake said something. I heard him say something. Somebody sent me something a sermon, and he said this, and it just changed my whole day. It was the spot. It was the word that I needed. He said, on the first day of creation, God was 1/5 of the way through. And he said, God said on the first day, it is good. He said, God celebrated an unfinished work. Now, you got to think about that. It wasn't done yet. It was only 1/5 of the way there. If you don't take time to celebrate. So even in January, he says, it's been a good month. I'm proud of myself now. It's not and this is a thing that the church, we err in because we use that word, that pride word, and we made it look awful, and it was a bad word, and we messed people's self-esteem and self-worth up, which is very unnecessary. When you accomplish something, God celebrated after the first day. He said, hey, this is good. 1/5 of the way through. Because it takes time. It takes time. And he said, some people in life, they're like an ambulance driver. They go from one wreck to another wreck. They don't take time to celebrate. And I came into this year saying, one thing I'm going to do this year that I haven't done, I'm going to celebrate this year. I'm going to sit on my back porch. I'm going to go ahead. You got to say it's time to celebrate. This is year 30. Year 30. Somebody else. That was really, really good. Sister Breatha, you got your hand up? No, you act like you're scared. If you got your hand up.
For mobile giving, text the amount you wish to donate to 501-302-4242.
The Acts Church in North Little Rock is located at 1224 Franklin Street. Morning Glory begins at 8 a.m. on Sunday mornings. Sunday school begins at 8:30 a.m. And for a powerful word, join us at 9:30 a.m. for our morning worship service. Bible study is each Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. At our Conway location, Morning Glory begins at 10 a.m. Sunday school begins at 10:30 a.m. Worship service begins at 11:30 a.m. On Thursday, our Bible class begins at 6:30 p.m. For more information, go to actsministriesonline.org or give us a call at 501-329-2055.
Thank you for tuning in to the Acts Ministry Podcast. The Acts Church is located at 1423 England Street in Conway and 1224 Franklin Street in North Little Rock, Arkansas. Tune in each day to hear an inspiring word from Pastor Frank